What is up, YouTube? Sergeant Blake is back, and we are here talking about open world games. All open world games. We'll call them sandbox games. All sandbox games for a little bit. And then for the last half of the video, I'm going to talk about these two bad boys. Grand Theft Auto, the episodes from Liberty City, and Just Cause 2. Games that I just picked up, and they're both biting for my time because they're both good in their own ways. So let's just talk about open world sandbox games. Sandbox games really got made popular around 2000, 2001, 9 years ago, when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out. And back when that came out, it was the bare bones essential. It was you, Liberty City, your character didn't even fucking talk, and you guys could really do only one thing, and that's travel around, do missions for other people, and well, a couple things. Travel around, do missions for other people, pick up packages, drive cars, and I think there were some insane jumps to do. And yeah, that was awesome when it came out, but since then we've had a lot of things that took that idea and just totally turned it on its head. From more installments of Grand Theft Auto that gave you more and more things to do, whether it be driving a driving a motorcycle wasn't even available in the Grand Theft Auto 3. But having a motorcycle, or being a police officer, kind of, or a vigilante, working for the fire department, working for the paramedics, being a taxi driver, stuff that really wasn't kind of fun, but interesting nonetheless. And then we took it into what? San Andreas. San Andreas, you could do pretty much anything. You could fly planes, you could fly helicopters, there were jets, there was this, there was that. Owning property, that was in, Vice City. Then you could, what else was there? You could work out, you could get fat, you could do this, you could do that. Things that were not really interesting, but they added to the game just a little bit. Dressing your character, all this, all that. And then we went to the new generation, and we were given a lot of things. Other games, too. Mercenaries was also in the last generation, where we were given the open world game that was kind of kooky, kind of crazy, but totally fun in certain ways. And then we saw a lot of games like that doing sandbox stuff now. And we'll give an example. Assassin's Creed took sandbox games that aren't so... took the sandbox, we'll say, and it threw its own concept, its own theme on it, and it made something that is atmospheric and awesome, and it is Assassin's Creed. And it gave people the ability to see these places they had never seen in video games, check them out, and they were also a lot of fun, right? And then we took another example of that is Infamous. Infamous is one of my favorite games this generation. Has an awesome story and it has some pretty fun gameplay. Superhero idea, comic book stuff, threw it onto the thing, and you're like, bam! Awesomeness. Same thing could be said for Prototype. A lot of people have taken the open world game and turned it into their own thing, and that's awesome. Of course, we got to bring up Grand Theft Auto 4 again. A lot of people bitch about that, but whatever. Grand Theft Auto 4, one of my favorite games. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, the open world game itself has probably evolved the most in the past 2 generations or so. And the reason I say that is because there are a lot of games that have evolved a lot, changed up things. The open world system, or whatever we'll call it, genre, has, it's even incorporated things from RPGs, and RPGs have incorporated open worlds into their games, and I think that that's awesome. But the reason why I say that the open world or the sandbox genre has probably evolved the most, or at least the most that you can measure, is because you look at other games, other genres. Survival horror is not survival horror anymore. It's action, or it's survival action. And what else? Uncharted is an action-adventure game. A lot of games fall under that category. Hack and slash is still doing hack and slash stuff. Not really a bad thing, but that's what I'm saying. The sandbox game, the sandbox genre, has turned into something that is amazing. And when developers have the time to really use it and utilize it the best they can, they make awesome games. Whether they be games that are expansions or games that are add-ons to another awesome game, or games that are all their own but also really fucking crazy. Whenever they use the open world idea, it always turns out good. Now we're going to talk about these games. First, we'll talk about Grand Theft Auto, the episodes from Liberty City. Now, I originally bought this because I had never checked it out and I wanted to play it here on my PlayStation. I was really happy to hear that it was coming over. Now, I have a couple of problems with it as of right now. First of all, of course, you can't really love the characters nearly as much as you love Niko. If you love Niko, you know what I'm talking about. But I love Nico. He's probably one of like my favorite video game characters of all time. Up there with like Kratos and Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank and all those guys. He's right there. Not because he's a badass, but because he feels most human out of all video game characters, and probably most human out of Grand Theft Auto characters too. Not that Tommy Vercetti wasn't a badass motherfucker though. Anyway, back to the thing. The Lost Biker Gang and Luis Lopez, kind of hard to get along with, especially Luis, and I'll go into that in a second. But the way I feel about it is like this. I finished The Lost and Damned. It was actually kind of fun. A little bit more fun than I was expecting to have with it, actually. There were quite a few cool missions, a few new weapons, and those were awesome. Always good to see new weapons. Different feel for it, different vibe, especially since you're over in a different city, or in Albany. And I didn't really spend much time in there because that's like the New Jersey area. Really not much to do other than a couple missions, and it's a big industrial area. Not a bad place, but like I was saying, not a place that I spend a lot of time. So you got to learn the ins and outs, learn the roads and all that, and on a bike, and it's really cool. The story is actually quite interesting. At first I was kind of not liking it, then I kind of got a feel for Johnny's character and everything, and all the people that he had to interact with, and I was like, alright, I kind of like this. The bad thing about The Lost and the Damned is that as soon as it starts to pick up, and you're really like on the edge of your seat, you want to know what happens next, it ends. And it really ends abruptly. And you're just like, oh man, that wasn't cool. And you feel kind of like, alright, whatever. Johnny, got to ride out into the sunset. And that's, in the end of the day, that's what every biker wants to do. So, you're like, alright, I'll cut my losses, I'll go to the Battle of Gay Tony. And the Battle of Gay Tony is, so far, I like the missions, but I don't like the game itself, because the story it's telling isn't of something that I like. For example, Luis Lopez is probably one of the least likable characters that I've played as of late. And it's not because he has a bad attitude, it's not because he's like a bad actor, it's just because the writing that they did for him makes him choose really stupid things. Like, for example, he hangs out with the dumbest motherfuckers in his neighborhood. Happen to be his friends, but they're also fucking stupid, and they're just kind of dragging him down. You see it, and like I said, you want to be emotionally attached to this character like you were Nico. But this guy's making dumb decisions. You're just like, I don't want anything to do with this guy anymore. At least that's how I feel. Maybe I'm taking it too serious. But what I'm saying is that Luis Rodriguez has a lot of people around him that aren't very likable, and it makes him very hard to play as when you know that you have to deal with these people. It's kind of like real life. Like when you know that you got to go be around assholes, you really don't want to do it, believe it or not. And then the last game we got, Just Cause 2. I traded in a bunch of games just so I could play this. I actually paid like only about $5 for it, which is pretty awesome. But if I had to buy it full price, I would have. It is it's a kick-ass game. It is over the top, crazy action, insane, crazy, totally kooky shit going on. But it is fucking cool. And the way I say it is that if you guys have to make a choice between one or the other, go with this first, pick this up later. It'll go down in price. It'll still be a lot of fun. I'm not saying this is a bad game. It's just that I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I enjoyed Grand Theft Auto 4. And I'm not even finished with the Battle of Gay Tony yet, so it might change. But this game, however, this is worth the time. This is worth the money. You're going to pour a lot of time into it too, because there's lots of crazy stuff. There's also probably going to be a lot of DLC, so that's always worth checking out. But like I was saying, it's a fun game. Over 400 miles of places to explore. Like over 100 different unique vehicles, whether it be like sports cars, tanks, helicopters, ATVs, planes. That's always fun. All types of stuff, and it's super fucking crazy, like I said before. All types of stunts you can do. You can ride on the top of your plane as it like crashes into a fucking mountain, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of crazy stuff. And if you get it on the PlayStation version, there's also an ability to capture video. I don't know for how much, but for how long, but you can capture a little bit of video and upload it straight to YouTube, and that's awesome. So it actually saves to your videos file, so if you don't want to upload it to YouTube from the game because of low quality or whatever, you can go in, you can edit it, you can switch it around, blah 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 blah. If you're really interested in doing walkthroughs, this is a really easy game to do it on. So if you guys, any of you guys who also do stuff like I do, but do it more like with actual video game footage, this is the way to go. Alright guys, that is it. I think the moral of this story is that open world games, sandbox games are awesome, and if there's one thing I'm waiting for, it's Red Dead Redemption. Rockstar's working on that, so we know it's going to be good. May 18th, I guess I'll see you guys there. What's one more thing that I wanted to say? Oh yeah, that is like the last game, this as of right now, that I want to get. Red Dead Redemption, and then in June we'll have E3, and it should, cook off a bunch of brand new stuff. Hoping to see stuff from Infamous and the next Assassin's Creed, hopefully, but who knows. Alright guys, that is it. Like I said, moral is open world games are awesome. Talk to you later, bye.